Hey everybody, Emil here. Gonna do a quick rundown on what this whole vlog is about. Then gonna give you a quick update on what's happening with my gorgeous wife, Olga. And then gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I've been reading about over the course of the last couple of weeks. I wanted to post this last week, but I wanted to. There were some things there were a couple of stones that were unturned, and I wanted to read up a little bit more. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about today is a little weird, I suppose, for a mainstream viewer, but it's definitely something that I need to discuss because it's where the research has led me to. So. But we'll talk a little bit about it as we get closer to it. So if you don't know, here's what's happening. I'm a school administrator. I work in Orange County, California, and basically I have my wife who we've been married. We got married in 2006. So what is that? 13 years? 13 going on 14 years now. Was just diagnosed with ALS or MND or motor neuron disease, or Lou Gehrig's disease, which is basically a disease that stops a person's control of their muscles, which causes spasms, causes lots of pain, then causes atrophy, and eventually causes complete paralysis and bad stuff. The prognosis is 2 to 5 years, but a majority of folks actually end up living 2 to 3 years. I happen to know somebody who is now going on 3 years with it and is still chugging along, so, and some people are able to stay alive 8, 12, 15, 16 years. Some people very rarely will die in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. As strange as that sounds, it's usually because they just didn't understand what they had. In any case, it's a horrible disease, and so I started doing this vlog to chronicle what's happening with me and what's happening with her, what's happening with us, as we try to figure this stuff out, because there's no cure. There's no way to get out of this thing. Now we have a couple of angles, and we have a couple of we think solid plays that we're executing currently, and this is part of that execution. Frankly, it's we need your help. First, we want to be able to talk to folks that are interested in science and health and miracles, really. We also want to be able to raise some funds because, unfortunately, the only real promising treatment for folks with this neurodegenerative disease is currently available only in China. It's available in South Korea, it's available in Mexico, it's available in other places, but soup to nuts, China's got it, and it might not work, it might not slow anything down, it might not stop anything, it might not reverse anything, but it's all there is right now. If you can donate, we ask you to please help us out, because this is going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars, of which we're going to liquidate pretty much everything, all of our savings, retirement, everything that you plan for, right? You go, hey, successful, wise adults plan for the future, and then the future happens, and you go, wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So we're definitely going to bear all 99% of the brunt of this financially, certainly, not to mention emotionally and mentally and physically and all that. But if we don't ask for that 1%, then we're not being honest and authentic with ourselves. That'll come back later, I think. So if you can, please visit the link on the screen. Give what you can, $5, $10, $5,000. No? Maybe? No? Okay. So with that, let me tell you what's happening with my baby, Olga. So the primary struggle has revolved around to work or not to work. And again, this is all going to make sense as we move forward here. So over the course of the diagnosis, once we got the diagnosis, The neurologist right away said, you need to stop working tomorrow, and you need to, get your affairs in order. And, it actually hit me very in a bad way, because I'm like, what? Thanks for the encouragement, Bubba. And, subsequently, we've done a lot of reading about this stuff and found that, in fact, a lot of people are able to continue to work years after their initial diagnosis, And so, of course, the question is, why would you want to? But that's, I guess, another video. Once we got into it, like even a week or two into it, I could kind of, once I started my research, right, I learned about it that day. I was online that night and started to learn everything I could about the disease, and basically came to the conclusion that we're going to be able to save her, if we put everything, on the table, if we're honest. If we ask for help, if we, if our timing is right, because of this thing that we found in neurone treatment that was in physical FDA clinical trials in the third phase, which means that it's very close. In fact, as of today, and what it was mid-September of 19, about 23 months or so, this stuff should be on the market, maybe 24, 25 months or so. This stuff should be on the market, but so if we can get Olga to access it, and then maybe a year after that, get Olga to China so that she can get this, because it's not a one and done thing. It's an ongoing treatment that a person will need for the rest of their lives. And once you're done with the clinical trial, if you actually got the treatment, not the placebo, you're going to need it, more of it afterwards. In fact, there's this guy, Matt Bellina. He was a military man who is the only human being alive who's gotten four shots, lumbar puncture. Yeah. And this guy's breathing had gotten down to almost nothing, because that's how ALS patients tend to pass on, is that eventually you lose control of the muscles that are allowing you to breathe. And you can get ventilated, but that doesn't last forever. And eventually, the very impulse to breathe becomes lost. Anyway, that's how most folks pass from this damn disease. Is they suffocate. Through respiratory failure is probably the best way to say it. It's not suffocate. That sounds horrible. Anyway, so and then he gets shot after shot, and his breathing is back almost to normal. I think I'm probably exaggerating, but he can breathe again, and the guy's walking and he's exercising, but of course he needs more, and so it's an ongoing treatment for this chronic disorder. It's not a cure, but it's an ongoing treatment. And so the idea is to try to hopefully get into the neurone trial, and so that we can leverage that for a period of time. And who knows what that period will be. Maybe she'll need another shot in 3 months. Maybe she'll need it in about 9 months or so. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Then get her out to China, get that second shot, and see if the stem cells work. We don't know. I don't know anything about the results of many folks that have gone through it, except for a little bit of information. So we know a person who we've been in direct contact with, who just finished I think his first treatment there, but he's gotten like 30 other stem cell treatments from all around the world. Incredibly, and very good man, but runs like 40 businesses. And anyway, and that's his choice. And you know what? That's where I'm going. That's where Olga's going. So anyway, that's our game plan here. That's what we're doing. We're trying to raise some funds to be able to help get us that treatment. And then hopefully once this thing gets full FDA approval here in America, we'll get our insurance to pay for it. Medicare, for example, hopefully will cover it. That's going to be a whole nother battle set, but we can talk about that. So anyway, that's the catch up as to what's going on. So the issue has been that I'm trying to get Olga to, I don't want her to work. I just don't want her to work anymore because she's losing her balance a lot. She gets winded walking across the house. She was diagnosed, 4 months ago? Actually, 5 months ago. No, I'm sorry, a little less than 4 months ago. But, symptoms set on, probably much earlier. I don't really, I can guess maybe January or so, maybe February or so. So, it's been at least 5 months, 6 months that this thing has been activated in her system. And so she seems to be progressing at what I think is an average rate from what I gather. If the general average life expectancy is 2 to 5 years, 3 years being the most, the biggest band there, then she's on par probably for that kind of progression for this disease. I'm hoping that there will be a plateau, because that's also something that's been noted in ALS patients, is that they will plateau and not lose functionality for a period of time that is, extended for some. So that's our game plan. But again, we haven't gotten into the trial, and we're very, very anxious about that, because there's other issues involved too, right? So imagine we don't get into the trial. So now I have to very quickly move and get us that trip to China, right? And it's not so much the trip, it's the treatment. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. All in all, it's going to be 6 figures plus. So thankfully, we've been blessed. I'll say blessed. I think that's the appropriate term. And we made some good moves, and I work a lot. I work 3 jobs. It's like 2.5 full-time jobs, to be honest. And I'm fortunate to be able to do that. And we've saved a lot of money and made some investments and whatnot. And so yes, that stuff is going to pretty much be gone here in a short while. But the issue there is going to be how quickly can I liquidate everything. So I've been making those moves already, just trying to get everything ready. Because again, right, as Frank Herbert would say, it's one of those guys, Frank Herbert, plans within plans within plans, right? So those are our challenges. And so Olga doesn't want to quit. She's been working for 35, 40 years, right? It is what she identifies with. Her teaching and her career and all of the children and adults, the calls are just, it's wonderful. It's amazing. The Facebook connections and folks staying up until 3, 4 in the morning so that they can catch her in the daytime here in America, just so they can express their condolences. And it's lovely. It's so touching. It brings me to tears. And I know it's really shaking her up, of course, because, it's all love, but, it's also evokes a lot of fear, right? I mean, when you see people, wishing you well, but you can see it in their face that they're just don't want to lose you, really all it does is maybe for some people just terrifies them even further. A lot of interesting psychology is that kick into place that I hate to say this, blessed to be able to observe and watch, because I'm her coach, right? I'm her rah-rah sis boomba. I'm her Tony Robbins, baby. Because, she breaks down into anxiety attacks multiple times a day, sob, right? I mean, deep sobs. We're talking about life and death stuff. And it's like I mentioned in earlier episodes of the Dottore Chronicles, cycles, man, just cycles, right? There is no end to the dread, the absolute dread. So, and to focus on me for a second, and this will make sense later as well. It's exhausting to do what I'm doing right now. My main commitment is my wife and her health, right? In order to make that happen, I have to have my commitment be solid to the school I work for, and I'm very fortunate to work for some pretty cool cast for a pretty cool organization, honestly. A lot of issues, obviously, but that's how it goes when you have a family of 5,000, right? That's how it goes. There's going to be issues. So I'm really proud of it. It's a great place to be. But then I'm also proud of my opportunity to be able to work with these amazing graduate students at the University of Redlands, and I just met them a couple weeks ago. Very cool people, man. Very cool. But that's a commitment. That takes a lot of energy out of me, because my style as a I don't know, what am I? I'm an adjunct professor. Oh, I'm sorry, Alexa. Did I bother you? I'm in the middle of something here. All right, sorry about that. That takes a lot of energy out of me, But the coolest thing happened, man. Oh, you're gonna love this too. This is the majesty of humankind. This is why I'm looking forward to what I'm cooking up here, as far as what I want to dedicate my life to. After this jarring experience, I've been really trying to figure out where do I want to go? What do I want to be? I love my job. I love my work, but I'm going to have to transition into another level, or something different, I should say. Maybe not something better, but something different, because I'm getting older and my consciousness is changing, and my body is changing, and transitions will be occurring. And so I'm excited about what those might look like. In all cases, and then I got this cybersecurity work that I'm doing with this incredible organization out of Imperial County in El Centro, and we're doing some really good work, But it's so, I'm just juggling 5,000 things here, and I'm trying to have like a life, so I can feel vital, so I can feel alive. Because what I don't want to do is mirror Olga's, descent. I don't want that. She won't want that. She doesn't want to see that in me, and I want to be able to be up and energetic and strong, so that she can, have something to be motivated by and something to latch onto. The way people work is mostly through modeling, right? When we see what we like, we do that. That's mostly how we act. That's the bottom line of it. And if we see something we don't like, we don't act like that. And of course, multiple iterations exist as well. But that's the basics, right? That's the basics. And so I want to be strong and positive, and I want her to see that, I'm having breakdowns as well, but that I'm able to transition back into, hey man, let's keep going. Hey, what were our wins? Oh, Anissa would like that. What were our wins? This is my boss. Sorry, it's late night, and I need to drink some water. So anyway, a lot of energy. I'm exhausted, not just from what the work is, but from having to switch hats. So, I'm trying to be more aware of my own context, because, I'm finding myself in some cases not able to wind down, and that's not good. That's not safe. And of course, I'm losing all this weight, and I don't know why I'm losing all this weight. I'm not exactly. Well, I know why. I'm not eating. That's why I'm losing all this weight. And I just can't, for whatever reason, something has happened that has changed my relationship to nutrition or food, I suppose. I'm not eating healthy either. I'm eating, when I eat what I want to eat, like donuts. Or, pasta. I'm not that, but I just don't want to eat anymore. For some reason, there's an impulse that's changed. And a friend of mine, David, a very close friend, great guy, wonderful man. Of course, we've lost contact. He moved to England. So with his, I want to say wife, but I'm not sure if they got married or not, but they have a child together. But I remember him talking to me about how he had issues with hunger as well, and he literally would tell me I don't get an impulse to eat, and which was nuts to a, chubby freaking, Armenian, Iranian American. Because, what? No impulse to eat? Excuse me? How does that work again? And now, 20, 30 years later, I'm like, yeah, now I'm seeing it, And of course, I'm having my potassium checked. I take a lot of supplements. I started taking a lot of supplements, I should say. And so I'm just having my blood work done every now and then just to make sure that I'm not, going crazy with my weight loss. But this is all part and parcel of what's happening in our lives, right? Let's see. I wonder. Suddenly my body starts changing as soon as my wife is diagnosed with a life-threatening disease. Possible relationship? No, there's no relationship, and there's no basis for that, because to suggest that there is a basis for that, Western medicine would be talking about something that it doesn't know how to talk about. You see? And so, nope, that's just random, right? It's random. So she just doesn't want to, stop working, and I came to realize that no matter how much, if I encourage her to work or stop working, and she stops working and she falls into a pit of depression, it's going to be my fault because I'm the one who told her to stop working. And the perturbations of all of the outcomes here are mind-boggling. Probably, maybe simple for some, but I decided that I need to let her make the decision of when to stop working, and I will not subtly, but just honestly let her know my thoughts about it. But I'm not going to push her to stop working. And she eventually came to a place about 3 weeks ago where she started going, yeah, this ain't going to work. And I'm like, yes, okay, we're getting closer. But then she changed her mind and started going back to work again. And unfortunately, that was a bad move because she had a fall, and it was embarrassing for her. She was out in the backyard of the house, and she was so tired she didn't see that the cushion of the couch was out too far. She sat and fell down on the ground, face into the hot asphalt or hot cement, or what was it, concrete, and on her bad arm, and couldn't get up. So she was stuck on the floor. Nobody could hear her. The phone was out of reach. Just humiliating experience. And these are tough things to go through. And so she finally said, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I was so thrilled. And then the Sunday night, like last Sunday night, she goes, nope, I'm going to work. And I'm just losing it, right? I'm like, come on, man. And so we didn't, go toe to toe or anything, but it's like, it's wear and tear on me too, right? But as I said, there's no stopping her, right? She's amazing. And let me tell you why she's being this way. She's not doing it because she wants to avoid depression or loneliness at home. She's doing it because she feels like she would otherwise be letting her students down, letting her co-workers down, letting the institution of education down, letting this great country that's given her this opportunity to live in the most beautiful part of the planet down, right? It's a sense of responsibility and duty that keeps driving her. It's not so much that she's gonna be bored. No, she's a brilliant woman. And nowadays, the two of us are seeing each other all the time. We're on Facebook Messenger video chatting or something like that, and she's got all of her friends from Russia and New York and all over the world can connect with her like that. So it's not as if she doesn't have connections and friendships and stuff like that. It's just that, she's got the sense of duty, which will all make sense. So, next day she goes to work, and 2 hours into it, she's in tears because she realizes how fatigued she is. That's been the thing that's been killing us lately. It's the fatigue. She cannot handle it. I mean, just walking across the house makes her tired. Taking a shower makes her tired. So yeah, she's definitely progressing along the line, and I think finally she decided that yes, I am going to stay. But then tonight we went out to dinner with a couple of friends, and at dinner, as we were talking about this, she turns to me and says, "No, I can work part-time, honey." And I'm like, "Oh no, here we go again." So anyway, that's been back and fro, but I think she's finally coming to. So the fatigue has caused us to get into this mindset of what are we going to do about it, right? Let me say that a little bit more elegantly. So the fatigue is the new presentation, right? The new symptom that we're now dealing with, right? So her primary symptoms have been her right hand, fine motor skills are gone, almost complete loss of the right hand, almost complete loss of the right arm. She's starting to lose some functionality, stiffness in her left arm and left hand, which is terrifying, right? So imagine not having hands. Imagine that. Just imagine that world. Especially when the actions of your profession are directly related to your hands, right? When your whole connection to your work is, through your hands, and then you lose your hands, it becomes like a loss of identity almost, and I really get that. I get that. And I think that's a part of the illness that is less describable, especially by people who are not as verbose as folks like myself, who just want to talk and want to communicate and kind of need to. Anyway, that's my challenge. Authenticity. So I'm working on it, but we'll get to that. So the fatigue is the new present. Oh, and she loses balance. She's using a walker now and a cane. Finally got her to start using the cane, and and she's starting to sometimes slur her speech. She feels like her tongue is getting a little bit tighter, But the newest one is the fatigue, like severe, deep. I just hiked 16 miles. Fatigue, that kind of thing. So we've been looking into what can be done about it, and we came across this thing called the Deanna Protocol, right, which is basically a series of supplements that were put together by this physician whose daughter got ALS, and he was bound to figure out what he can do to save her life, and put this formula together. It's not a formula, it's a bunch of supplements, and he just called it the Deanna Protocol, named after his daughter, Deanna. And it's a fancy, man. It's arginine, it's GABA, it's ubiquinol, like, Coke 1000, not Coke 10, it's, glutathione, and a bunch of stuff. It's actually like 30 things, but we only got into the big stuff, the top 6. And the idea is that these supplements are going to somehow help with nerve degeneration and help the nerves heal. It helps carry energy to the cells that create the nerves, to help rejuvenate the mitochondria within some of those cells. And it worked wonders for the daughter, because she continued to live and and I think she's even still alive now. I'm not sure, but and a lot of the ALS Facebook communities are reporting that it worked. I just posted something in one of the communities as well, and I got most people saying it's a ripoff. It's just a lot of money, but nobody's ripping it. So I'm not going through it. We didn't get our stuff through a provider. So there's a couple of folks that bundle everything for you, the essentials or the full package or the full package deluxe. So I just actually went to the guy's original documentation, the physician who came up with this stuff, and just went through his notes and watched a couple of videos. He speaks about this all over the planet. He's a pretty cool cat, to be honest with you. When it comes to this stuff, you never know, right? You never know what a person's really like. So anyway, until you get to know them. So yeah, so we're ordering things from all different sources and getting a pretty good deal at it, frankly. And so the idea is to try to see, will this actually affect her? And so she bumped it out the first night. And, I don't know if you've ever tasted arginine, and I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm probably wrong about that, but it's disgusting. Sweet little girl. But she's downing it now, and she's on her third day since we started the protocol, and she's feeling it. She actually, this morning, she told me that the way she described it was that she's feeling something happening with her brain. And she said the language I want to use is that I feel an unfolding happening. Oh, so beautiful to hear her talk like that. Even that's actually more exciting for me than the fact that she's feeling something. And she says that, yeah, I am feeling more energy, but she's also feeling like she's a little too freaky. She's a very conservative, she has a conservative physiology because she's endured a lot of trauma from all sorts of resources. And so we're cutting back a little bit on the dosage of the different products. And so anyway, along the research that I've been doing and trying to figure out how to get this medicine, looking into alternative medicines and what is it that can be said about any of these things, there's actually some small universities that have done clinical trials on this Deanna Protocol, self-contained, not to get approval from the federal the Food and Drug Administration, but just to be able to see, well, what is this stuff? And, and some decent results have been shown as well, and the jury is certainly out. It's really just a hypothesis, but when you got nothing else going, right, you start, what's the term? Batting for the fences. So I hope that's the term. And so this is expensive stuff too. It's like $300 a month is what it's going to cost to get this these supplements into her body. And but if it works, it's worth it, right? Yeah. See, phone agrees. So I'm continuing my research because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in the Deanna Protocol, and looking into different, as I learned about the different supplements and what the hypothesis is for what they were supposed to do and how that affects ALS or how that affects, any kind of disease, was more and more interesting to me. And I got into supplements after I learned about Ray Kurzweil and his use of supplements and his whole reasosoning behind it. And so I don't do a lot of supplements like they do, but I'm certainly getting more and more into it for whatever reason. I don't know, but I figure, what do I have to lose other than my money? So anyway, and I came across Gabor Mate. Right now, I've mentioned Gabor Mate before. This is a dude that I've been following for at least a decade. I first learned about him when I was getting into this thing called the Zeitgeist movement. And he was a physician. He is a physician, and he's a Hungarian man of Jewish descent, of Jewish persuasion, I should say. And he was born in the early 40s, and he was he just is a brilliant. First of all, I love his tone. I love the way he speaks. I just really like calm people, man. Calmness is valued in this man's life. It's one of the reasons Olga and I get along so well, is that, the way I unwind is through calmness. That's what being an extrovert, or an introvert really is. People think I'm an extrovert because I present and I speak, and they don't understand what, they assume that extra means, the guy was out. That's what it means. But in fact, that's not what it is. It's not what I am. I think the shortcut to trying and understand what an introvert and an extrovert is to just think of it as the way you unwind. How do you come down from the top of your day? Do you do it by going back out again to the clubs, or to socializing again with your friends, your family, or do you prefer quiet and calm and just relaxing and maybe going into your, not routines, but things that bring you joy and comfort, basically, to try to compress, calm down, go back to zero, Zen AF, and then next morning the show must go on, and that's one of the, again, like I said, the things that Olga and I share together is that we really love to just be calm. And his shtick, Gabor Mate's, not shtick, that's disrespectful. What interested me about his lectures, which is what got me into studying him and reading his stuff, was he explained, or he taught me the concept of epigenetics, right? That things don't just happen because we have a gene for that thing to occur, a gene that has the propensity for an occurrence, right? It isn't, if you have a gene, doesn't necessarily mean that gene is going to express itself. And the question is, are there things that are external that then cause genes to express themselves? And are there things that inhibit particular genes from expressing themselves, right? There's a dance. It's not just a this then that. It's a this. Now, what's the context? What is surrounding that gene, as far as time is concerned and as far as circumstance is concerned? That is going to be the thing that'll express a particular gene or not. And his whole narrative on us going down the wrong pathway with this human genome project stuff, that there's certainly value in it, but that we're putting too many eggs in that basket, because it's basically propagating the Western medicine narrative that, everything is biomechanical, find the symptom, treat the symptom, and see if you can move forward. And that's just, Western medicine is evolving without question. And you can see it, even in like the grossest, expressions of Western medicine, like Kaiser Permanente, for example. They're really into holistic healing now, at least that's what they, push as their image. No, actually, I take that back. They really are, they really are interested in that field. And so more and more, I'm starting to realize that there really is no, Western medicine is very quickly becoming West-East medicine, maybe not quick enough, but at least in some ways. So, I'm looking around and I find a lecture where Gabor Mate is talking about ALS, and I'm taken aback by that. I'm like, whoa, what are the chances of this dude that I've been listening to for, again, a long time? Suddenly he's talking about like one of the rarest disorders there is, right? And so I, went down that rabbit hole, friends.